Have you been wondering how to sell digital products on Etsy? Maybe you've heard other stories of the success and passive income they've made selling Etsy digital products and wonder if that could be a reality for you too. Well, friend, I'm here to tell you that it absolutely is possible. Not only has selling digital products online completely changed my life, but I've seen it bring financial freedom to so many of my students as well. But I know the whole process can feel so daunting, especially when you're first getting started. So I want to come alongside you and lay it all out in just 4 steps that are super easy to understand and follow. But before we jump in, I want to officially invite you to my live event that's happening next week. It's my 3-day live workshop, Etsy Success Coaching Week. This is a completely free workshop event where I'll be going live for 3 days straight, teaching through my VOP method for making sales and growing on Etsy. The workshop is going to be happening next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's January 9th through the 11th. And along with the live trainings, there's going to be an awesome Facebook community that you'll be able to interact with Team Hayes and other attendees, get your questions directly answered, a workbook that goes along with the trainings, and several different fun giveaways and freebies. So it's definitely something you don't want to miss if you're wanting to start or grow your Etsy shop. Again, it's a completely free event. All you have to do is sign up and get registered. So I'll put that registration link in this video's description. And I'd recommend you go ahead and sign up quick as the spots are already filling up. All right, let's go ahead and hop into step number 1 of the 4 steps I'm going to give you today for selling digital products on Etsy. Now, I've grouped these 4 steps together into 2 larger steps. So both of the main points I'm going to give you are sort of 2 steps in one. So the first 2 steps go together, and this is to conceptualize and create. So the first thing you'll need to do here is to conceptualize. This is to come up with and validate the idea for the specific type of digital product you want to sell. Now, it's of utmost importance, especially if you're just getting started, to niche down and get as specific as possible when you're thinking through this. I know it can be tempting to want to offer a lot of different types of things to a lot of different types of people, but if you end up being too broad, you're going to end up appealing to no one. You need to have a very specific target customer in mind and a very specific type of product that you're going to be offering to them. The more specific your offer, the more appealing it'll be to that target customer. Now, there are 2 ways that you can niche down. One is by niching down and getting specific on the actual product type. For example, deciding you're going to only offer templates. The other way is to niche down by only offering products for a specific target customer. So an example of this could be, I'm going to be a digital product shop for brides. So you could offer some different things, including maybe templates, invitations, wedding decor, but all of it is for that same specific target customer, brides. So whether you decide to niche down by thinking of a specific product type or a specific type of customer, it's going to serve you really well to get as specific as possible. Wonder how many more times I can say specific. Once you've conceptualized the type of product that you want to offer, then it's time to validate that idea. We don't want to just rush in and start creating things and spending hours and hours coming up with products that nobody wants or is searching for. So we need to validate our product idea to make sure that it's something that's currently in demand in the market. My favorite way to do this is by looking on Etsy itself and typing in a keyword phrase that is something similar to what I'm thinking of offering. Then I'm going to take a look through the first page of listings that come up in the results, keeping in mind that these listings are ranking on the first page for a reason. They're doing really well, and these sellers have obviously done something right, and they're offering something that is appealing to Etsy shoppers. So I'm going to take special notice of the ones that say bestseller up in the top left corner of the thumbnail, and I'm going to notice what specific types of products are appearing over and over again. I might also click through on some of these individual listings and scroll down to look at how many sales and reviews have come in for this listing over the last, let's say, 6 months. Of course, every sale is not going to result in a review, but I can get a good idea of how consistently this is selling by how consistently reviews are coming in. So I'll look at the dates for these reviews to see if this is something that's just selling sporadically or is this selling more consistently. If I want to take my validation a step further, I can always use some Etsy specific research tools. These are tools like Sales Samurai, Everbee, eRank. There are a lot of great ones out there, but what I'm looking for when I use these tools is to type in the same specific keyword phrase that I was thinking of to see what the estimated monthly search volume is. That's the amount of times it's estimated this keyword phrase is searched on Etsy per month. I definitely want to see a higher number here to validate my idea. And I can also see things like estimated monthly revenue for those type of products. All of this different research is helping me to see, is my product idea something that's currently in demand and currently selling really well, something that other people are already searching for? If it is, great, I can move on to the next step. If it's not, I might want to rethink and try to find something that's a little more searched and in higher demand. demand on Etsy. Now, once I have validated that my broad product idea, let's go back to the idea of templates, is selling well, then I want to get more specific by niching down on style and trend elements. So in our example here, let's say I validated the idea of digital templates. I know that they sell really well, but now I need to think, what kind of templates am I going to sell? What color schemes am I going to use? What font styles? Again, I can do the same process of researching to find these specific things as well and take notice of what is selling over and over again on the Etsy platform. I'm not copying anyone here. I'm just taking inspiration from what is already working well and putting my own spin and my own twist on it. Now, maybe you're thinking, well, I don't even know where I would start. I have no idea for a type of digital product to sell. No worries, friend. I got you totally covered with this. I have a free master list of digital product ideas. It's a whole list that I've compiled with tons of different digital product ideas to give you some inspiration and get your ideas rolling. So if you want to grab that list, I have that linked in the description box below as well. You can click through and download that for free right after you get done watching this video. Now, the second part to this first step is to create. This is where you're going to start actually creating and designing your digital products. So first, you'll need to decide on what your primary design tool is going to be. There's several different great ones out there, everything from Adobe Illustrator to Photoshop to Affinity Designer to Procreate. But hands down, my favorite design tool, especially for beginners because it's so simple and easy to use, is Canva. If you already are familiar with a certain design tool, then I'd suggest going with what you're already familiar with. And if you're not and you're starting totally from scratch, then I'd recommend you look up some tutorials. There's a lot of free information on YouTube, or look into purchasing a more comprehensive course that will teach you specifically how to use your chosen design tool. I actually have a full comprehensive course that teaches how to create digital products with Canva and sell them on Etsy. So something like that would be paid, but it would give you a more comprehensive start to finish guide for creating and selling products. But regardless of what platform you choose to design on, there's a ton of information out there that can help you get started. Now, a few really important things to keep in mind when you start creating your digital products are, number one, licensing terms. So think about the elements and the graphics that you're using in your designs and where you're sourcing them from, and make sure that you have the right license to use those elements. You want to make sure that you're legally using them for commercial purposes, most likely with a commercial license. There are some elements that you're not legally allowed to use if you just have the personal license, and you'll have to pay a bit more when you purchase those to purchase it with a commercial license. You can usually find the terms of whatever license you're purchasing it with from wherever you source it from. And if you're using Canva and you're finding elements from within Canva, then you'll need to think about, is this a free or a pro content element? And you can read all about Canva's free and pro content licensing and what you're allowed to do with each. But you definitely want to check into this before you spend hours and hours creating these designs to make sure that you're actually legally allowed to use those elements and fonts that you're planning on using for the purposes you want to use them for. Now, when you're going to start your project, you need to make sure that you're creating it in the right size from the very beginning. This will most likely be either in pixels or inches, depending on if you're creating a digital product that's for web use only, which would most likely be created in pixels, or if you're creating something that's meant to be physically printed out, like a printable of some sort with a physical measurement like inches, centimeters, or millimeters. Once you know the size of your project, you can go ahead and start creating it inside of your design software. And then once you're done and you're ready to download it, there's a few really important things to keep in mind here as well, such as file type. So you'll need to know, do I need to download this as a JPEG file, a PNG file, maybe a PDF? A hint on this is that you can look at other bestsellers on Etsy in your niche to see what they're selling their products as. And then you'll also need to know what resolution you need to download it with. So this is talking about DPI, and specifically for printable products, you need to make sure that if your product is meant to be printed out, you're downloading it with a minimum resolution of 300 DPI. If you have any lower DPI than that, specifically for printables, once they're printed out, they could risk appearing grainy and pixelated. There's lots of great information out there, and you should be able to research this a little bit and find out how to do this exactly with the tool that you've chosen to create on. All right, we're about to move on to our next two-part step here, but I just want to remind you about Etsy Success Coaching Week, my free 3-day workshop next week. That's that free live event where I'm going to be going through my VOP method for starting and scaling a profitable Etsy shop. So if you're interested in joining me live, hanging out and learning some deep dive information about growing on Etsy, and also have access to that free Facebook community of like-minded entrepreneurs, as well as my team to answer your questions, then definitely click that link in the description box below to get registered. All right, once you finish those first two steps of conceptualizing and creating your products, it's time to move on to the next two, which is to optimize and offer. So first, let's talk about what optimize means. You have your products created, and now you have to figure out how to actually sell them and get them into the world. There are lots of different platforms that you can choose to sell on. In this case, we're talking specifically about Etsy, so you would need to go through the steps to open up your Etsy account and shop and get that initial setup done. Then the next part of this this is to go into your shop and start adding and customizing your branding. These are areas in your shop like uploading a custom banner, logo, and profile picture. You can even add pictures and information about yourself and your company in the About section, which is another great area to customize. You want all of your branding to feel really professional and cohesive using consistent brand colors and fonts across the board. Then you want to set up the other parts of your shop, like setting up your shop sections, your shop announcement, your policies. And once you have all of that done, it's time to start creating your individual listings. Now, there's a lot that goes into a specific listing, but some key parts that you're going to want to think about ahead of time are your photos. So most digital product sellers will be using mock-up images, but if you have something printable, you can always print out your product and take your own photos that way as well. Then you'll also want to think how to optimize each single listing using SEO, which is search engine optimization. This is how Etsy's algorithm identifies what your listing is actually about, what kind of product you're offering, and then chooses to match it and show it in the search results to the right shoppers who are typing in something similar to what you're offering. So it's really important to find highly searched keyword phrases that you can plug into your listing in strategic places. These are areas of the listing that the algorithm scans when it's looking for matches for a shopper's query. So the key places that you'll want to plug in those highly searched keyword phrases that describe your product are in your title, your tag section, your description, your category, and the attributes. These 5 key areas of the listing will help you to rank higher and higher and be shown to more searchers if you're strategically doing some research to find those highly searched keyword phrases ahead of time and plug them into those specific areas of your listing. Now, I know this might seem totally confusing if this is your first time hearing about SEO or even hearing about using mock-up images and things like that to build your listings. So if you think you could benefit from a deeper dive into these concepts, then definitely get registered with the link below to my coaching week next week, because we're going to be going over both of these topics and how you can get started to really strategically optimize your listing by using these. Now, I know some people recommend that you have tons of listings ready to go before you ever even open up shop. I don't think that that's necessary. I recommend that you have 10 to 12 at the minimum to get going, and I think that's more than enough to open up your shop and start telling people that you're open for business. So once you have those 10 to 12 listings, you'll upload them to your shop, you'll publish them and go live with your shop, and then it's time to move on to the second part of this step, which is the offer step. This is where you're actually going to tell people about your shop to get the word out and to market and promote your shop. I can't stress enough how important marketing is for every single business. It is crucial that you actually let people know that you are open for business, that your shop even exists, because they won't know you're out there unless you tell them and promote it. Now, there are a lot of different forms and types of digital marketing, and you don't have to do it all, so don't get overwhelmed by this step. Just pick 1 or 2 that you could start with. There's everything from content marketing on places like social media or a podcast or a blog, to using paid advertising like Etsy ads, to building an email list and using email marketing. They're all great, but in my opinion, the easiest and quickest way to get started is a combination of using social media and collaborating with other sellers or influencers. So for social media, again, don't feel like you have to be on every single platform. Just pick one to get started with. This could be the one that you're already more familiar with, or the one that you think that your target customer would most likely be hanging out on already. Then you're simply just going to start sharing value-based content, anything that you think that your target customer would find helpful and useful and valuable. Of course, we're going to be selling a little bit as well when you want to promote your products, but it's not just all about selling. It's about giving first and offering value, offering content that's going to help your target customer, which is going to make them want to follow you for more. So for instance, going back to our wedding niche idea, if I was selling digital products to brides-to-be, then I could create some content around wedding decorating ideas or 10 different wedding invitation ideas. The sky is really the limit when it comes to creating value-based content. And then the other part of this is collaborating with other sellers or influencers. So you can find other Etsy sellers who are also trying to grow and do a feature for feature swap, where you agree to tap into each other's audiences by featuring the other one, which ends up being a win-win for both sellers. And you don't have to do this with someone that's directly in competition with you, but you do want to find someone that complements what you have to offer. So you can be sure that their audience is similar to who your target customer is and that what you have to offer would likely interest them. Or you could reach out to influencers who already have a bit of an audience built up and offer them free product, or even offer to pay them if your budget allows for it, in exchange for them featuring you on their social media account. You can get creative with this and think outside the box. The point is just to tap into some other people's audiences that are already built and growing instead of having to start from scratch every time. So those are the 4 main steps to get going, but there is one extra step I'm gonna throw in here. Once you've got the sales rolling in, you've got consistent revenue coming in, then you wanna look at your Etsy stats and analytics to see what's working, what's actually selling the best in your shop, and then double down on that. It's really smart to take what's working and think about how you can offer more of that, whether it be offering additional variations of that product, like different colors or font options, but just getting creative with how you can run with what's already doing really well to bring in revenue. So friend, I hope that was helpful for you in getting started. Make sure to click the link in the description box below to grab your free master list of digital product ideas, as well as the link to get registered for the upcoming Etsy Success Coaching Week. Hope to see you there.